Deadlock's newest update has hit like a freight train, all the while our normal weekly activities chug on as usual. We've got a lot to get into, so let's dive right in. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back, as always, to another edition of Deadlock Weekly, the weekly show where I bring you the latest news, leaks, esports roundups, and more every Sunday at 6 p.m. If you want to stay in the loop on what's happening with Deadlock, make sure to subscribe. And so guys, the big kahuna, the major item shop rework patch. This is just beautiful. It's got beautiful art. All of it stands out and flows beautifully with the art style of the characterization of New York that they've got going in this game. I love the time period they've chosen, and the art and iconography goes well with it. I also love how each shop supplier, or each shop rather, has a supplier. For example, Fairfax Industries supplies the weapons. This is the company that McGinnis works for, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Pocket's father owns. It's a great tie-in, and I just love the opportunities that they take to tie in the lore of the world. The changes to the item shop, it's a core gameplay philosophy change. The way that you build your characters has completely changed. The items are now based around amplifying or enabling you to play in a certain way, and this is the biggest shakeup we've had to the game yet. It's completely rocked my hero roster. I haven't had a good Calico game yet since the update, but I've had a few like this one where we're watching here is Lash. You can build these stomp builds that like literally Thanos snap half a person's health bar, even like the tankiest players, and I'm sure there are already like great ult builds that float around emphasizing a completely different part of Lash's kit. And I love this change. It's hard for me to emphasize how happy I am with it. This so far has opened the game up to be played in much more ways than get these items to get the strongest stat on this ability. Almost anything can be buffed into being a significant factor that drives your team to victory, whether it's a Dynamo support build or, once again, this Lash Slam build I've been having fun with. It opens up counterplay that's far beyond just buy debuff remover. And I don't have a great transition here, but the middle school English teacher in me was proud of this alliteration. There's no flex slots anymore, but there's much more flexibility. They're now called extra slots. With the lack of category lock slots, no more 4 weapon items, the needing for flex slots to get more, right? More than 4 weapon items. Even though there are less item slots in general, I've found myself saying, we need to get a flex slot so I can progress my build much less. Probably only like once, if I'm honest. The emphasis of amplifying a part of your kit prevents you from this buff everything as much as you can, as efficiently as you can meta the old system forced us into by having categorized item slots. And obviously the meta's gonna get developed. We'll see where we get to a week, a month, 2 months from now. But as of today, the game is in a more dynamic, creative space than it has ever been. And given the other amazing aspects of this game, the freedom of movement around the map, the diverse character roster, and the new and improved item shop, I think the strong points of this game are really starting to take shape. And now I've seen a few people, and again, a very small minority, who are annoyed with the change. And the criticisms I've heard are less than compelling, but if you're saying they're less noticeable at a glance, I just think that's not true. They're much more noticeable at a glance than the clip art PNGs, which actually, if you didn't know this, those are from like a free item, like free asset website. Like some Fortnite game also uses them. Obviously, you know, they were work in progress items, totally fine to be using them that way, but like that's what they were, right? And so I find it funny that some people are like really attached to those, and you were just attached to them because you were so used to them that you could easily identify them. The current ones are vibrant, and each one is distinct from the other, no matter the category, unlike the old Swift Strike and Burst Fire, which look nearly identical to each other. Simplicity is good. It's not necessarily important for Deadlock, I don't think, and it certainly doesn't make something easily identifiable automatically. And so I'm less than persuaded by that argument. And so yeah, if you knew the old items, sorry man, shit changes. This goes back to what we talked about last week and why we play Deadlock in the first place, and why I caution people who might find themselves frustrated by this from grinding this game in the first place. Things like this are going to drastically change, and I imagine we might have another major update like this before we go to open beta and things inevitably slow down in terms of massive changes. Until then, like, and even beyond that, man, like, this stuff's gonna change. I don't know. Don't get so worked up about stuff changing in video games. And so we did get some balance changes as well to go along with the item ones. Obviously, like every item got changed, but there are a million. We've talked about that. And it makes sense that that's the big change, because if you changed like Talon of Hero balance, for example, it'd be hard to identify for the developers what exactly changed things, whether it was Abram's shoulder charge being much longer, for example, as opposed to some extra stun item, right? But there were a couple of limited changes, and it's mainly about healing and health. More health for every hero, just by default. Every hero has more base HP as well as more health gain per boon, which is just going to result in a higher HP total for every single hero. And then most, if not all, healing abilities in the game in general were nerfed by about 10 to 30% because there's so much more of a focus on kind of support building and building in healing if you want that to be a part of your build now. And this addresses a quiet complaint that I've heard kind of bubbling underneath the surface. This was never like a really loud thing, but I think that I've heard a lot of people talk about healing in Deadlock and how they think that maybe there's just a little bit too much of it, and I think there's a great way of addressing how much general healing there was in the game through items and various pieces of kit without actually nerfing the damage dealing themselves and giving healing a much more dedicated place in the game through this new item shop. Then we had some map changes as well. The changes to the base, guys, I think are one of the most underrated parts of this update. I made a post about this on Reddit, but to expand on it, the devs have given an infinitely more significant feeling to the base, as well as making the combat inside the base itself much more engaging by removing like the massive wall that divided the pit from the upper area and just making cover in general much harder to come by. And then the use of visual vectors as you walk up the stairwells, looking up at the patron through these massive corridors. It's the same effect that movies and TV use to give an imposing feeling to like an evil character or something, and I love it. I think it's such an awesome way to emphasize the end of the game and the importance of what ultimately is the win condition of the game. Destroy the patron and you win, so it should feel important. And then, guys, we had various art passes. The game feels much more finished now. Abrams has a beautiful new ultimate animation. Guys, it's hard for me to say how much I love this. Me and my buddy just nerded out over this animation when we saw it for like probably 5 minutes, just ulting across the map. It's awesome, and he was not the only character to get some love either. Dynamo and Trim Furnace and some others did as well. And then, guys, real small things like the mini-map, the new ultimate icons under the portraits that are much more legible. I already find myself making faster, more frequent use of these. More billboards with more finished advertisements. These are the things that signal the game is moving in a direction that they like over the past few months, and they're investing in polish. So then let's take it back to last week. We heard that there may, maybe, plans for an open beta in July. I said this was early, but given the hero progress that was made, it wouldn't surprise me if it could be done that quickly. Who knows if this person who said July was just guessing or pulling the leg of the person that they were telling, but what I will say is that the item shop and now heroes like Abrams, Dynamo, and Furnace, they are ready for the open beta and to have advertising dollars put behind them tomorrow morning at 9. Now it's just on the rest of the game to get to that quality level in my eyes. So guys, obviously huge patch week, but we do have our regularly scheduled programming going on as well. And we did get a new leak as well this week, and we got a couple, but the big one is the Grey Talon work in progress new model. And I think that everyone at one point either thought Grey Talon was a woman or knows somebody who thought Grey Talon was a woman, and so it's no surprise his character is going to be getting a redesign from his current look. A much more brawny appearance looks to be incoming, and I imagine that we'll at some point get some hair that's just yet to be tacked onto the character model. It'll be interesting to see how much more continues to get leaked, because it's clear there's somebody who's sending information that has access to that playtest. So it'll be interesting to see if Valve is able to sniff them out, or if they even have any interest in sniffing them out before this playtest comes out. Or rather, we move from playtest into open beta. And then on top of that, new in this update, heroes from last week are now in the console. They can't be selected in the same way that you can like every hero on the roster, but if you go back to the Deadlock data mine video from a couple months back, they can be selected through the console in that way. And so if you're like me, you can throw yourself back to the Gmod days in the summer of 2012 and get some good old-fashioned source error textures before you installed Counter-Strike Source and started playing on random Trouble in Terrorist Town servers. But there they are, and some heroes like Skyrunner are more playable than others and look to have some really interesting kit incoming. Let me know if you want to see more on these guys. But again, guys, this is where we must remind ourselves that any of this can change, as we were reminded this week with the item update. So don't get too excited until they move forward when you press that W key. And so, guys, this week in Deadlock content, there are dozens of videos going over the new items and the patch in general in depth. I will link a bunch down below from Mass, Deathy, Kronos, more. All those guys have got some great content out. And then Deadlock and Load new episode as well, talking about the new patch. Some great conversation from these guys. Really love turning on this pod when I'm at work, or like I did yesterday when I was going to pick up dinner. And so, guys, we had a couple tournaments to talk about this weekend. Fight Night is back with number 24 this week, and it's worth noting before we begin that these rounds did take place before the item update, and thus were played on the old system. And we'll start in Europe, where Virtus Pro beat Abrahams, a team that I haven't seen before in any of our roundups, in a 2-0 close map one that in the end just decided by a one-team fight for VP at 42 minutes. Just great close game, and much more lopsided map 2 on the back of a hard carry by Demov, and some great performance by Zergy. In North America, it was much less competitive when Melee Creeps took down Alcatraz in a 2-0 unabated, just absolute ass kicking. And Deathy's Death Slam wrapped up as well this week. The Procrastinators won their first ever community tournament, so congratulations to them, and I will keep you guys in the loop when Deathy's Death Slam makes its rounds for round 2, assuming that there is one. And now, guys, we got Winrates Weekly. We're going to actually take a brief hiatus from this week, mainly because with the patch just dropping 3 days ago, we'd get some kind of weird data from before and after the patch mixed together. So on Thursday of this week, I'm going to take a screenshot of the win rate data and save it for Sunday, and then we can go over both the exact 1 week data after the patch, and then go over the regular weekly win rates as well next week. So we'll do Sunday to Sunday and Thursday to Thursday, just side by side, so that we can get back on track. But then, so I figured I'd double check and see if I can just go select like 72 hours or something and filter that for the data. But then I found track lock is down. It's given a 404 error. So I'd say that's certainly newsworthy. Hopefully it's back online soon. It may be back online by the time this video is up, but I will update you guys on that if it's back for next week. And so that's all I got for you this time, guys. I want to thank you so very much for watching, and thank you for the great reception on last week's video. That was the second best video that the second best performing video, rather, that the channel's ever had. So I really appreciate it, from this side of the microphone to, I don't know, your side of the screen, or maybe your end of the speakers. I don't know. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So, guys, thank you so very much. I hope you guys have a fantastic week and have been enjoying the Deadlock update as much as I have been. It's just been a fantastic time. I've been having a ton of fun, as you can see on screen here. Have a fantastic week. I will see you again next weekend. Peace.